I grew up in a town called the Ghouls. Oddly for Newfoundland, it was a farming town. We had a pretty big family. There were 7 and 9 siblings in my parents' families, respectively. My dad was a teacher, my mom was a nurse, and my mom's whole family, by and large, were nurses. I grew up in this family that had a bunch of medically associated people and people who sort of were accustomed to caring for people. And then on top of that, I had a disabled brother who required a lot of care. And my grandparents lived with us. And so I lived in this environment where we saw people who needed medical care and who gave medical care. And it was sort of very, I think, formative for my view of how the world worked. So pretty early on, I realized that I was interested in medicine or nursing or some sort of discipline in that field. In fact, my mother has a scrapbook that has a picture of me claiming I wanted to find a cure for AIDS that I drew myself when I was like 5 years old. Well, I was always a bit of a science geek and computer geek. If I hadn't done medicine, I would have done something with computers for sure. When I got into university, in anticipation of wanting to go to medical school, I embarked upon a biochemistry degree. I joined the volunteer program when I was 19, and I was in it for 6 or 7 years, but I eventually had to give it up. I had decided that I was interested in respiratory medicine and critical care, and gravitated mostly to respiratory medicine at the time, and did some electives in Kingston, and ultimately applied to and was accepted here to do respiratory medicine. I had some big fires over the years, actually. Our high school burnt out. I was in that building, actually.
When it was burning?
Yeah, so it was immediately after like this big explosion. And so you're in pitch black, in smoke, nobody else around you, on a hose at the bottom of a set of stairs, and all you can hear is these horns. And you're like, well, let's hope I get out. I always liked really sick people. Respiratory medicine has a lot of really sick people. It also has a lot of more chronic illness and, clinic-based stuff, which is why I ultimately ended up moving into critical care medicine. The other reason that I wanted to pursue critical care, I figured out pretty early that I really liked team-based medicine. It's you round often with 6 or 8 people. You have pharmacy and dietitians and speech-language pathologists and nurses and respiratory therapists and residents from all sorts of programs. One of the big reasons that I wanted to come back to Kingston was because I wanted to be able to be an educator. Education was one of the big reasons to come back. Importantly, Kingston and SEAMO uniquely are all in AFP, and so there is time protection afforded to people who have education or research roles. And even if you don't have a major defined education or research role, there's time afforded for people to be educators or participate in research. And having that as, a built-in part of what your job was very, very attractive. Helping people navigate critical illness and the things that happen to people is probably one of the biggest parts of the job. It's rarely ever a straight line recovery. Walking people and their families through that is actually probably one of the things that I love most about the job. It's a daily occurrence, or it's certainly a weekly occurrence in my practice, that my patients die. And recognizing that that is a normal part of life and helping people's families navigate that is important. That's quite a rewarding part of that work, is to try to help people work through tragedy and grief. I also get a lot of satisfaction out of getting somebody who is horribly sick better. One of the sad things about critical care is that we don't often see them once they're finally better, like when they're home better. We don't get to write the discharge papers to send you home. We get the discharge papers to send you to the ward or maybe to another hospital that you came from. But when you get to actually send somebody out and this person's gonna get better, and we did that, that actually feels real good.